Good evening. This is Stedman Fry, along with my co-host Amanda Goodman-Berry and Flex McGee, with Delta Workers Unite, the Working Class Podcast, your newest resource for news, updates, and information on the State of the Union drive and how you can get involved. We'll bring you interviews and stories from workers just like you and us who want to share happenings as they see them. We'll also be debunking the falsehoods and misconceptions about the union and giving you the tools to do the same. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you will know when we post or go live. Thank you.
Hello. Happy Monday, everybody.
Welcome to another episode 14 of Delta Workers Unite, the Working Class Podcast. We have a few guests today, so it's kind of a special show. Some guests outside of the airline industry, but I'll pass it to Flex, my co-host Flex McGee, to introduce himself, and we'll get the show started.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Flex McGee, ATL, man, union activist, ready to get right to it, man. Amanda, go ahead and introduce yourself and our guest.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here again. Happy Monday. I'm Amanda Goodman-Berry, Minneapolis Ramp, and today is going to be a special show because we're going to bring it to you from all sides of the working class, and we're honored to have the Starbucks workers who has conquered what we're trying to conquer. And I think I know they have a lot of valuable information to share with us as the Delta workers. So we're going to jump right in and start out with the introductions. I will start with Shay. Could you introduce yourself and tell people where you're from and what location you work in?
Yeah, hi, I'm Shay. I use he, him pronouns. I am a barista at a Starbucks location in Denver. And I'm really excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mel, jump right in.
Hi, I'm Mel. I go by any pronouns. I work at a store in West Hollywood, Los Angeles. We unionized our store back in January, so a lot of good stuff to talk about.
All right, Nelson.
Hi, Nelson. I use he, they. I'm a supervisor at a Starbucks store in Maryland, and I'm just happy to be here and happy to meet so much other union people here. Thank you.
Awesome. So let's give them a hand clap for even showing up. Thank you guys so much for that. Thank you for being here. All righty. So we're going to jump right in. Stepping in that late hand clap, but we're good. All right. So we're going to jump right in because we got a lot of stuff to cover here. And I'm super excited about this podcast. So one of the questions that we want to start out is what and why are some of the reasons you all got involved in the Starbucks organizing drive? So whichever one of you want to start out with that, we would greatly appreciate that. So I'm going to say Shay.
Okay.
You don't seem shy to the camera.
Sure, and we can jump around who starts.
Okay.
I got involved with the Starbucks Workers Campaign because I don't know, like I had recently graduated college. I was working at my first job out of college. And, you know, not every Starbucks worker thinks that they're going to be working here forever. Most of us don't, you know. But like, a lot of us work here for, I don't know, a few years at least. And we deserve to have better working conditions. And whether or not it's me, whether it's the person who comes next, because there is a lot of turnover, we deserve to have rights and dignity and respect in our workplace. And we deserve to not have, you know, our benefits taken away without our say. And that's kind of the long and short of why I decided to get involved. Maybe I'll pop over to Mel.
I started working for Starbucks like a month before COVID hit the States. And before COVID, you know, Starbucks was kind of like a great job to have, like the benefits were great and everything. And then after COVID, things kind of went downhill. Um, and so I started working at the store in LA for like, I've been working here for like the last 3 years. And the talk of unionizing had come up briefly, but it was like, oh, it's not that bad. Like maybe other stores need it, we don't need it. Like our store is fine. Even though we were dealing with like uh just disrespectful managers, we were dealing with racist managers, we were dealing with sexist managers, like we just finally decided like why not now? Like even if we're planning on leaving like a month from now, like might as well just do it for the people who are gonna be here like after us, you know? So yeah.
That's awesome, Mel. That's awesome. Hand clap on that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, Nelson.
Let me
You're
unmute.
muted.
There we go.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
So I actually, I actually got hired like after our store had organized, and it had been about a month after they unionized. But when I first started there, I knew nothing about unions. I had only like had like basic information from like Newsies the musical, so I was like very like new to these things. But then as I got more involved, and they talked about like the benefits and why you know we want to make a good living pay, and really just feel more seen, because it's very rare to see customer service workers doing union stuff. So I was really passionate about that. I just like helping out with people. I think it's one of the biggest things for me, is just being able to help the workers that help me out.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Since we're on that subject, and I like what all of you guys said, but I really like what you said, Mel. What are some of the things Starbucks leadership did to stop you from unionizing? What are some of the things that they did to stop you from unionizing?
In our case, luckily there wasn't like a huge amount of union busting. They did like bring in someone from HR to like, luckily didn't have one-on-ones with us, but we were prepared in case they did want to do that. But they kind of like had a meeting. Luckily, one of our partners was like sitting next to them during their meeting so they could overhear what they were saying. But basically they were just going over like union busting, but not technically union busting tactics that they could use. And so it's like putting up flyers with misinformation and like um, going around to other stores and like making sure that like, oh, like they're going to lose their benefits, like they're unionizing, don't listen to them, blah, blah, blah. So it's like kind of like avoiding our store, but making sure that other stores in our area like knew that we were like off limits and knew that like we were out of our minds for wanting to unionize and stuff. So that's what we've seen in our area at least.
Shay, you had something on when we previously met. You said some things. So what were some of the things that they did to try to stop your union driving in Denver?
Yeah. I mean, our store didn't get hit nearly as hard as like the very first stores who tried to unionize a couple of years ago. Like originally they were like trying to fire people and like close stores, and they've gotten that's insanely illegal, and they got hit pretty hard with the law there. So it's really nice that they stopped doing that. But at my store specifically, we unionized in September of I want to say 2023, and Yeah, like that was before our agreement to bargain, and so they were still kind of at war with us and refusing to acknowledge that the union was even active, pretty much. And so they tried to like lower people's hours who were organizers. They were instructed to like our manager was told like by higher ups pretty much to like roll back hours, and to look for smaller things to write people up for, that wouldn't have been enforced before, which I may
Mhm.
add is insanely illegal. Like you can't enforce policies that you weren't enforcing before union activity started. And so we were lucky because our manager was on our side at the time. She didn't she didn't cave to that, but it was really scary for a while. Like they had like all these managers just like packing on our floor and like sitting in our lobby, like basically surveilling us. It was crazy. So that those sort of like fear tactics, basically, it was all just a game of information, pretty much, that they were trying to do to us.
Wow, wow. Sounds familiar, right, Delta workers? Sounds very familiar. What about you, Nelson? Did you want to add to that, or should we keep?
I guess what I will say is I feel like I've been fortunate enough that like I feel like I've had management has been pretty supportive. But obviously like there's been like minor situations that I've had like one-on-ones with my manager previously that they would just have talking to me like, hey, like you need to like focus on work first. And I was like, okay, sure, but like we're struggling out there and there's no support. It's like, what are you gonna do for that? And there was no answer. So yeah, I just find it nice to keep it moving with them.
So I know you have a question for Shay coming up next, but can you say that because it's store to store, and which Sarah flagged me last week and kind of like told me like corporate and store to store is totally different. Can you say that system wide that this is what um, that Starbucks was doing, like right now, even the stores that are trying to unionize, they're still doing the same union tactics to try to bust them from unionizing with the fear that they did with you guys?
Yeah, there's certainly still an element of that. We had a big agreement with Starbucks about a year ago, when they finally agreed to actually come to the bargaining table and negotiate a contract with us, where there's technically supposed to be labor peace now. Like they're not doing all-out war at this point, but that game of misinformation really lingers, and all of the managers pretty much are still kind of doing it in a way, especially at the non-unionized stores, because their goal is to not have more stores unionize. So there's definitely still an element of that there. There's definitely still a culture of fear at non-union stores. So we do still have to deal with that, definitely.
Wow. Anybody want to add anything? Mel, Nelson, or okay, go ahead, Flex. Go ahead, Flex.
Hey, good evening, everybody, man. Can you hear me? If not, I'm
Yeah,
muted.
we
Can you
can
hear
hear
me?
you. Yes.
No? Okay.
Yes.
Hey, good afternoon, brothers and sisters from Starbucks, and I apologize for moving a little behind schedule, but yeah, that's just me. But what I would really like to know from you guys, I hear you guys speak of culture of fear, and as workers, I feel like we have a culture of fear that we deal with at Delta as well, man. How did you guys navigate that, man? How did you navigate the rumors, the lies? Because all of the rumors are like it's like it's like talking about Bigfoot. You know what I'm saying? It might be a little truth in there, but it's like it's more fluff than anything. How did you guys, if you can inspire some of my coworkers to be brave, like how did you guys deal with your culture of fear?
I think
And
there's
welcome
that,
to the
like,
show.
oh,
My bad, I didn't do that. Welcome to the show.
I
um,
was gonna.
no, please,
I'll go.
please, I'll wait.
One
Sorry.
at a time. Whoever want to go first. I'm sorry.
Jump
I kind of
in.
like raised my
Jump in.
hand.
I'm sorry.
Um,
Sound like everybody
well,
ready to go on this one. Like I get it.
we got a lot to talk about. Like, there's unfortunately a lot of
Absolutely.
history of
Please help me.
unionizing. So I mean, one of the things that I was really skeptical about when we first started this was like the fear of them like shutting our store down. Because like you always hear about that, like, oh, they shut the store down because they unionized and blah blah blah. Like that's the biggest worry is like, oh, like my job is in jeopardy. Like finding or like learning that like if that were to happen, we would still have like certain protections. And like if we were to get moved to a different store and in the case that our store closed, like we would have more of a say in where we moved. We would have more of a say in like keeping the hours that we already had. And so even in like the worst case scenario, you still have added protections, like added job protection. So like it is a little scary and it is like kind of taking that leap of faith, like something could happen. But at the end of the day, it's better to have had that protection and the bad things still happen than to not have had that protection. So yeah, it's good to know just like what protections that you have like going into it.
Yeah, I do.
I
I
appreciate
highly
that. Before you
agree.
get started, Nelson, let me just say one thing. Because I want to make sure I translate this into our campaign. Because a lot of times we get that same thing where they're telling you, hey, if we unionize, they're going to get rid of all of us. You telling us in your field that there were protections set in place for you because you unionized. Like nobody has the power to tell the company what to do. But what the company has to do is respect what they have to give us in the event of them doing some of the things that are extreme or we might figure as drastic. So I just wanted to kind of comment on what you said. I'll probably try to do the same thing to kind of bring it home for Delta employees as you guys go through. But I appreciate you saying that because that is one of the main concerns for everybody that unionizes anywhere in the country is, oh, they're just going to move my job. They're going to get rid of me. And understand that they can do that any point in time anyway. But understanding what your rights are, if they choose to do that, and what you have the right to be able to say, hey, okay, if you do this, you owe me this. And that's important, man. And I appreciate you, sister, for even saying that. But I believe it was Nelson was getting ready to talk next, man. I apologize for cutting you off, but I just wanted to bring that home for our employees.
Absolutely.
No, you're so
Okay.
good.
Go ahead, Nelson. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I'll keep this quick. So yeah, I 100% agree, and I do think like one of the biggest things for me, at least, was like when I was going to my store and I was like we were going through terrible days, having terrible situations, and just reminding them like it can get better. It like this. If you think it's bad now, it can get worse unless we, as a collective, do something about it. Because like I always hear, you can fire one person, you can't fire the entire store. Right. And if everyone is fighting and doing the same thing, it's hard for them to ignore that or even do anything about that. I also find like a lot of like solidarity and like, we all go through the same stuff. Like we've had the same trauma of having a drink thrown at us or yelled at for no reason. Right. We have all felt that thing. And so like, we have a lot of trust with ourselves and we find a lot of like help in like, moving through that together. Whereas you have like one or two people trying to like, put everyone down, but you just can't do that. So I find a lot of solidarity in that, which is really helpful for our growing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Shay, did you want to add something or did you want to ask your question? Would you like to add something to that as well?
Yeah, I can add just a little bit and then I'll ask my question.
Okay.
Yeah, I think also like just kind of like building like one-on-one relationships with your coworkers and having that basis gives at least like in Starbucks stores, like we unionize store by store, there's like 20 people give or take, so it's a little bit easier to keep tabs on everyone than at Delta, I'm sure. But like just making like putting in that effort to let people know like what they're going to be facing ahead of time does a lot to quell those fears. Like I can tell my coworkers, like back when we were unionizing, like, oh, our manager might do this or this or this, but this is illegal. Don't let them do that. And this is a tactic that they might use, and so watch out for it. Then like people know what they're going into, they know what to expect, and that makes it less scary. And it also, it brings us closer together because we're fighting against something that might be bad for us in this massive fight to unionize.
Right.
And so my question is, like, what have Delta workers done to like overcome what Delta has been doing to do union busting and their tactics? so far.
Go ahead, Flex. Go ahead.
Two things I want to say. I want to say thank you guys because you guys really brought that whole, when you went through your fear tactics, solidarity is what I heard in all three of your stories. It's like the closer we become, the more the harder it is for them to divide us. And I don't know if everybody else heard that, but I heard that in all three stories. And I want to really congratulate you guys and give y'all big love just for accomplishing that. But
Yeah.
as it, thank you. Yeah, but as it comes to your question, like, bro, we've been through it all. Like, all fear mongering is divide and conquer. If they make you feel like you by yourself, then you shut up. You know what I'm saying? And some of the things that we've done is try to build camaraderie amongst each other and explain to each other why, like, you probably don't know, I'm in Atlanta. Amanda, who I worked with before, is in Minneapolis. I worked in Minneapolis at a point in time, and Fry is in Detroit. Like, this is about us coming together and unifying and like, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to galvanize our movement. You know what I'm saying? So that is what, like, the things that they do and say it to us in the secret. Like, that's why when you talk to managers, you talk to somebody, they talk to me offline. Speak to me. I'll pull you in my office and answer your question, because the power is really in the group. Like, that's what unionizing is. It's showing as the people that our power is all of us saying, no, this ain't acceptable. It's not we all say it's ain't acceptable, but then I go in the office by myself and they tell me something completely different to pacify me. No, if you can't speak to us united in a front together to where we all can hold you accountable to your words, there's no reason to speak to any of us. So, like, I really, like, I congratulate you guys on, like, this explaining that, because that's not something that people always understand at our job. People don't always understand it. Our power is us. You know, I might not always agree with Amanda. I might not always agree with Fry. I'm just using them as examples. But the power is us speaking unitedly for all of us. The people that's behind us have to stick together. And like, I just love, like, you know, I'm a Buffalo, New York native, and Starbucks in Buffalo was one of the first ones to organize. Western New York, baby, we was there. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, being able to, I'm telling you, to me, to be able to talk to you guys and speak to you guys about your struggle and connect your struggles to our struggles so people understand how this happened. Like, I'm just happy to be here with y'all. Y'all don't even realize that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all labor heroes. Everybody not going to tell you that, but y'all are labor heroes. And it's an inspiration. You're inspiring.
That's right.
You're inspiring, man. Just so y'all know. But that's how I wanted to kind of answer your question there, Shay. You know what I'm saying? And I got family in Denver too. Next time I'm in there, man, and I might pull up on you. You know what I'm saying? You never know. You might see me, man. Just so you know, I got it. Yeah, I mean, I want to pull up with labor heroes and take pictures for the gram too.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And you guys are heroes, just what he said. And us doing this podcast is another way to combat that. It's putting a face to what we believe in, you know. And if we could get even a third of our coworkers to put a face to what we're doing, we will be mighty in numbers, because it takes a lot to actually have the bravery to say, you know what, no matter what you say or what you do, what you try to do to us, we're still going to do this podcast. We're still going to reach out to the working class. We're still going to reach out to our heroes that you are, Starbucks workers for unionizing, and continue to unionize, you know. So I think spreading that solidarity and that type of love and this what you guys are doing with us is amazing. And this is what and I hope we'll have you back again, because this is amazing. But Stedman, did you have anything you wanted to say? And I'm going to move on to the next question.
Well, one of the things that I'm just noticing when you think about the Unify episode, which I believe was episode 12, we had the Unify union organizer. You see a lot of the same tactics with these companies where they want to, you know, like Flex said, they have this outward appearance of, you know, we're a family, we have an open door. But when you have suggestions, or when you say, you know, I think I know what's best for my career, I know what's best for me as a worker, me and my coworkers, we know what's best for us as workers, we deserve something better, we want more than you are offering, and we know you can give us better than we're getting, they always have some tactic. So I think that is important. You know, when you are in briefings or when you're in a situation where you have an opportunity to use your voice to empower your coworkers, and I'm speaking more to Delta people, but when I say briefings, but in general, right? When we're in meetings, we need to be able to use our voice to call out policies, to call out maybe double talk, or to call out some of those situations where policy and practice may have a disconnect. We have to have that so that we can show our coworkers, hey, I'm speaking up for you, even if I know that you are afraid to use your voice, or if I know that you may be uncomfortable putting yourself in that position. I'm speaking up for you because I know we're all invested in this together. So like Flex said, like Amanda said, the cohesiveness of us as workers across industries, knowing that we're all workers invested in the empowerment of working people, is important. And especially within our industries, if our coworkers can see us standing up for each other, that's important. So one more thing, Tiffany just texted me before the show started. Starbucks in Macomb voted to unionize today. So Macomb is the county, it's east of Wayne County, like northeast, and they voted to unionize.
What up, though?
Right.
I love you, Flex. All right, so that's awesome.
I love you
man.
too, sister.
I love you, Flex. So the next question is, what was your breaking point that made you want to be union? What was the breaking point? Because a lot of people hasn't broken yet, like in our drive right now. What was the breaking point that made you want to be union? So either one of
Good
you
question.
can take a swing at it. What was the
Let's
breaking
go with Mel. Mel looks like she's got it.
What was it?
Do I? Okay. Well, so we had a new partner who, came into the store, immediately saw that we were all like miserable and was like, okay, like let's do this, right? And we were all like kind of hesitant at first, and it was just like, okay, as long as everyone else is on board, we're on board, like we're good to go. But there are obviously like some stragglers, right? Like some people who are like a little on the fence or like don't want to be that open or vocal about it. The thing that solidified it for like everyone, because we had a 13-1 win, which is like a landslide. So the thing that solidified it for like the stragglers, I would say, beginning of January, we had the fires in LA. Our store is less than a mile away from the Hollywood Hills fire. My apartment is like right down the street from it. So like the majority of us had to evacuate. So we were all evacuated, and like, the air quality index is terrible. And our manager was texting us like the day after being like, are you guys ready to come back to work? And we were like, no, half of us aren't even home yet. Half of us can't even come back home because we can't breathe the air. Half of us have like chronic disabilities, have asthma. Like there's no way we can come back to work immediately. And so I managed to find our regional manager's phone number. And I was like, I'm going to do it on a phone call today. We're talking. And if it doesn't go well, we're filing with OSHA. We're posting a video. We did all of this. We ended up filing with OSHA. We posted a video of the fire right next to our store, and it got like 10 million views on Instagram and stuff. And we ended up like, because us and like a couple other stores also filed with OSHA, like we were able to get catastrophe pay because they didn't want to give us catastrophe pay. They wanted us to use our sick or vacation time, which a lot of us did not have enough to cover for it. So we were like, no, we deserve to get catastrophe pay. So we ended up getting it after like a week later. But it was like, that really solidified it for the people who were like on the fence, because it was like, they do not care about us. We're like evacuating. We're worried that our apartments are going to burn down. And they're like, sorry, y'all are going to have to deal with it on your own. And it's like, no, we're not. We're going to fight for this. And that really like pulled it through 13-1.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So
Yo, for real, man. Yo, shout out to the Warriors in the LA area that went through that, man. Now y'all are, like I said, y'all heroes. Like, give them their props,
I
man.
can't top that.
Standing together.
I think
My
that's
only question
amazing.
is,
Go ahead, Stedman. Yes, go
my
ahead.
only question is for the one holdout, what would take you over the edge? Like, what would be your breaking point? You know, like at
Yeah.
that point where you can clearly see the company is not operating in your best interest, health and safety. Let's disregard pay and benefits, but just health and safety, human decency. You still are more skeptical of a union than the disrespect that you have. So that's always strange to me, but everybody
Yeah.
has got a right to do what they want. So
Yeah, go ahead, Shay. You had something to say. What was your breaking point?
Yeah. So there were two things that happened pretty much at the same time at my store that like really, I guess, agitated all of us to the point where we're like, okay, this is it. We're going to do it. Um, the first one was we had like basically a bogus firing of one of our partners because without a union we don't have just cause. They can just kind of fire us for any reason. They say whatever reason the policy is, but like there's no system. There's no like this partner had no prior infractions, no warnings, nothing. They just got fired. What happened was he had an unfortunate moment like on the floor where he said a curse word in front of our district manager really loudly and he got fired for it. And so everyone was really upset about that. And we were all scared too, because like, is that what it takes to get fired around here? These are our jobs, these are our livelihoods. And so that happened. And this was in June of 2023, which was when Starbucks was also nationwide taking down like all their pride decorations and like really rolling back support for like LGBT partners and the community in general. And so our district manager took down our pride flag. And that angered all of us as well, because this thing that we had been hearing about nationwide had happened to us also. And Starbucks like denied it outright. Like they're like, no, we're not doing that, but they were. Our district managers, our managers were getting instructions to take down like pride flags. While I may add, they were still selling like cups with like rainbows on them. So they're making profits off of it, but they're not like putting their name to be supportive. And so those two things at the same time really propelled our store into taking action and unionizing at the time. And yeah, that's sort of what happened at our store.
Wow. Anything, Nelson? Because that kind of sounds like a lot like us. I mean, yeah, that's a hand clap. I mean, your bravery and what you're
Yeah,
saying,
man.
it just sounds so close to our stories. It's just different companies. And everything that you're saying is just like you say, our company tends to say we're family and you're doing one thing, but yet you don't support us. You don't show us that we're your family. I mean, you can give me a donut, but a donut's not gonna pay my electric bill. A donut is not gonna pay for my medical. A donut is not going to pay for a donut. Personally, ain't gonna even get me full because it ain't healthy for it. So so I'm
They
just
want to
saying,
poison us.
yes, and it just sounds like the strategies and the anti-union busting. It all sounds the same, even from Delta over to Starbucks. So it's really amazing to talk to you guys, and I can't wait to even have other working class people on here who is trying to unionize. To see how the system really, how these companies really work to break us down. I mean, it is to break us down to there is no one else wanting to fight. So, which leads me to the next question I wanted to ask you was, what kept you motivated? Because a lot of times when you're unionizing, and we know what this feels like. Sometimes it can feel like you're on an island by yourself. Sometimes it can just feel hard. What kept you guys motivated? What kept you going?
Honestly,
Start
I
with
think
Nelson.
it's
Good
just the
question.
people. Oh, wait, am I good? Am I good?
No, you're good. Go ahead,
You're good. You're
Nelson.
good.
Okay, cool.
You're good.
Go ahead, Nelson.
All right.
No, yeah, go ahead, Nelson.
So hear me out. Hear me out, right? So I think what is for me is I've met so many amazing people through this campaign that have all, like I said before, like have all gone through what I've gone through, who all also feel alone. And it's like feeling alone together with someone is such a powerful thing. And so like even there was times at my store when I was like,
Feeling
I'm
alone
literally
together.
the only person. Yeah. And like there were times where I'm like at my store, I'm like, I don't know if this is the right thing for me because like I think this is right, but no one else wants to fight for this stuff. And I felt like alone and like being my own sole organizer. But then we got to bargaining and I met other people who literally felt the same way, like who I could relate with. It was so motivating because it was like, okay, so like I'm not the only one feeling this and we're still doing it. Like we got to the bargaining table feeling this kind of way. And like I still have amazing friends that I still talk to this day from like honestly bargaining, and like I miss them a lot and I hope to see them soon. But it's like those little things have like really like kept me going and like wanting to be more part of this campaign than anything else I've really done in my life.
Wow, that's awesome. What about you, Shay? What about you? What kept you motivated? Yes, that's awesome.
Behind that,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
I got a little sound like, bro, that's it. Yo, what you said, feeling alone with other people, that's different, bro. Something I can relate to. And if I can, real quick, Amanda,
Yeah.
just real quick. Like, I want to make
Okay.
sure that Delta people understand what's happening. Oh, my bad, my phone.
oh no,
Oh, he'll come back
Oh,
we
no.
lost him.
He'll be back.
until he gets back. Shay,
Yeah.
what kept you motivated?
Yeah, I mean, it all comes
My
back
bad.
to solidarity, honestly. Oh, he's back.
He's back.
Yeah,
ahead,
my bad.
That's
My
okay.
phone was going crazy. But I did hear you going, Shay. But I just want to say something, man. Like I said, how they didn't stand behind people with the LGBTQIA. And Mel was talking about how they didn't care about health and safety. And brother, I hear you talking about Nelson. I hear you talking about just being alone. Like that's the American struggle right now. Like that's the reason why we really need to talk to each other, come to like get our differences and our grievances together. Because what all of y'all, you all spoke my struggle. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So here I am feeling alone with Amanda and Fry, and now y'all come along and y'all tell me that the same thing that I got going, you had to fight through too. And you know, you talking in small stores with 20 people, you know, 13. I heard y'all won 13 to 1 somewhere else. And here I am dealing with 18, 19,000 people. And people tell me why this ain't happening yet, because we ain't came together yet. But it's not like I don't feel like it's a too daunting of a task. I feel like it's inspirational. It's just we just need to put a little more work into it. But hearing you say the same things that we going through, it's like I don't feel alone. Like I already had the two of them with me and the other people working with us on this campaign. But now I feel like, yo, I got some other people out here who understand too. And I'm gonna be honest, I did a thing a couple years back with Amazon workers, and they said the same thing. Like when you unionize it, it's the same playbook they use against all of us. So to hear you be able to speak on your struggles and how you made it through and how you guys are fighting, it's just like I said, man, y'all labor heroes. You don't realize it because you feel like it might be a small scale, but brothers, sisters, yo, it's bigger than you ever going. It's monumental. Every time we get another Starbucks store, another Amazon site, a Delta campaign, a JetBlue campaign, or any campaign, like it's monumental for people. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I want to do, because I believe in giving flowers now. Fry, if you could just give a hand clap for every Starbucks worker that voted union or didn't vote union but understands it better now, because we all need that, man. Flowers to you. I mean that. If I'm ever in y'all city, LA or Denver, I know I'll be in Denver and LA. Nelson, I'm not quite sure where you from. I'm telling you, man, yo, I'm with y'all. I believe in it. So in solidarity, I say that.
Absolutely.
My apologies for the drop off real quick.
No,
Yeah.
that's okay. That's okay. So I wanted Shay or Nelson to touch base on what kept you motivated. If you both want to say it, that's fine. And then we can move on to our final question. But what we try to do is that we try to bring people to understand that, like Flex said, we're not in this by ourselves. sometimes it just seems like it's just Delta trying to organize, but we know there are other people out there that is trying to fight the good fight to help the workers. And we keep fighting for our workers because we're fighting because we want to leave them something. We want to give them something that they've never had. We were union before, and then we lost the union to be non-union. So we're really just trying to bring back that joy to the job, that happiness to the job, that security to the job, that motivation to the job, wanting to come to work to the job. And we've lost all of that, that we drag into the job. So, and I think you guys have set a blueprint for unionizing around the world, because you guys did it store by store. It's just we're having to try to do it with a whole big group of people, but it's still organizing. It's still putting your life on the line. It's still putting yourself in on the front row seat for Delta to say, come in my office, let's have a conversation. So if you, Shay or Nelson, have something to say to our workers, especially to keep them motivated, we would love to hear what you did and how they can put it into our drive to keep us motivated, because you guys have done the doggone thing.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, every worker who is organized, it's all the same playbook. Like, our different workplaces work a little bit differently, but we're all the working class, and the bosses all speak the language of profits. And so it definitely does help to even within our company, even outside of our company, there are people who are going through the same thing. There are people who are struggling who don't have to be struggling. We can fight and make things better, and that has been a primary motivator here. And it feels so long when you're organizing, and I know a lot of people struggle with that, but remembering that the alternative is to not fight and to not get any better. It's why would you do that instead? That's a non-option, in my opinion, and to so many other people too. It's it's about the solidarity. To be honest. But knowing that you're protected in the meantime is so helpful too. And working towards something better, and knowing that even if it's not me, but it very well could be me, I'm excited for a raise one of these days, those
Right.
kind of things are motivating, and it's exciting. And then you also just you even get to know your coworkers better, and you have a more rich life in that way as well. There are a lot of upsides to maintain that motivation in the meantime, certainly.
Yeah.
Nelson, did you want to say anything?
I will say something really quick. I don't know if Mel has responded to this, but I will say really one thing. Is at this point, anything's a statement. Either you do something and you think that these things are the things are okay, or you don't think it's okay and you have to do something about it. And it's also at some point you have to know you're fighting for someone. There are mothers, and those are Maddie Oates. She is a mother who was organizing her store because she knows that her kid will benefit from being a part of a union. And I want to make my family's lives better, so I'm fighting for my union. So everyone has something to fight for, and so a union is just a great resource and outlet for that. But I don't know if Mel wanted to add on to that or not.
Yeah. Something that I always keep in mind, and that I always tell other people who are thinking about unionizing, getting into the unionizing efforts, is that we all have more in common with each other than we do with our superiors. I have more in common with an Amazon driver who I've never met before, who is not the same race as me, not the same gender, sexuality, religion, background. I have more in common with that person who I've never met than I do with my managers and the people who, who pay my bills, unfortunately, barely pay my bills. So these, knowing that on this huge level, and I know there's this huge class divide right now, we have more in common with each other than with the smallest amount of people who are making these decisions, who are worsening our lives to line their pockets. So yeah, I don't know, it's good to keep in mind.
So that brings me to, before we go into the last question, I think Starbucks CEO made $96 million, and that ain't even including the bonuses. Am I correct on that? And our CEO made $36 million. And the fact that they had no compassion from the top down, doing the fires and doing what we even go through, to have some compassion that, hey, these people are away from their homes. These people are having to have to leave their home. You may have children, you may have pets, you may have animals, which are children as well. And you had to up and leave your family. I think that even that with it shows that they have no integrity. The integrity to tell you had to come to work and you had to fight to get OSHA involved. And I think that is awesome, because you guys didn't just say, no, you're not going to force me to come back to work. We're going to do something about it. We're here fighting for our lives. We're fighting for our health. We're fighting for all those things. And we're also fighting to even know if we're going to even have a home when I come back home, and I think that I wanted to really highlight that, because that's important, because Delta workers too, we fight when COVID was over with. Delta would not be who it is had it not been for the Delta workers. The Delta workers brought them back. The Delta workers made sure those passengers were able to get on those planes. The Delta workers did that. And the company somehow seemed to forget that the Delta workers did that, not the CEOs. They didn't do that. We did that. So
we took the losses. And we took the losses because they cut our hours. And we took the losses even after the government was giving money to make sure that everything was good. We took that. We ate all of that just for them to bounce back on top. Like, don't forget that. I apologize for jumping in, but I got a little emotional.
That's okay. You my Dan today. If you listen, you'll laugh. You my Dan today. That's okay, because that is the passion that it brings out, because they forget that the bottom people make them. Without us, there is no them. And we
no reason for them.
To all of us today, they need to have a serious wake-up call that without the working class, without the front line, there is no store, no Starbucks, there is no Delta Airlines, there is no company. And I just get so passionate. Stedman, I know you had something you wanted to say.
Got my timing a little better. I'm working on it.
We're working on it. Every week we get better, Sted.
But I wanted to say the 96 million for Starbucks, that's 4 months of work, if I'm not mistaken, right? 4 months.
6 months.
So, well, either way, that's ridiculous. Okay. But ultimately, what we need to understand, and this is something like why I'm so proud to do this show and so happy to meet with you all and bring more people into this process with us, is that ultimately what this is a fight for is dignity in labor, right? It's not about the job I'm doing, but it's about the way that I contribute to society as a whole. You can't measure my value in what I'm doing, right? Because I just throw bags. And at the end of the day, you might think throwing bags is a worthless job, but you have to look at what I do as a part of how I contribute to society. Some people will say that, oh, you just pour coffee. What's the big deal? But you contribute to everybody's morning, right? Everybody who comes into Starbucks needs to come there to start their day off on the right track, right? And so you are a contributing factor to everyone beginning their day the right way. And we need to understand that. We all deserve to be able to afford to live where we work, right? Because that was the thing we talked about even with the San Diego worker, with a San Jose worker with Unify, that you have people who can't afford to live where they work, right? And so this concept that there is, labor that is worth dignity and not, and I hope that that's one of the things that we can really get out to the masses, if the masses ever get out to this show, is that there is dignity in labor. As one of the commenters said, we are all working class, right? Yes. And that's the truth. There's no shame in that, right? You're not middle class. I made a joke with a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago, 2 flat tires and you might be out of your house. You're not middle class.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We're all working class, and we need to be willing to bring dignity to that. We need to stand up and proudly wear that as a badge of honor. This country was built by working people. The world was built by working people, right? And so if we could continue to stand in that truth, we can push forward and fight for the dignity that we deserve, right? We can take back the control that CEOs and corporations have taken from working people in the last, 30, 40 years. They've eaten away at pay and benefits and things like that. So I really appreciate you all coming, and I'll stop there if anybody else has any more questions or comments or statements.
Go ahead.
If I could, real quick, I just wanted to say one thing before we, because I know we get ready to wrap up. Mel was speaking about, well, before I even do that, Starbucks workers, I would like to personally thank you for your heroism and everything that you've done for unions. Like, I just want to make sure that you understand that you are appreciated for that. But Mel, you said something that it's, I'm not gonna front, it's a little triggering for me when we talk about what we do and how we work for them. And the reality is, I just want to remind people that we work at these companies. These companies are not our goal and our source. And sometimes, like, I believe words are so powerful. So I don't tell people I work for Delta. I tell people I work at Delta. I work for my family. I work for my dreams, my aspirations, for the things that I believe that I really can accomplish out here. Like, those are the things that I work for. You know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of times we just slip out and just say, oh, yeah, I work for, and I get it. But I just want to remind, like, anybody who sees this, that remember what it is, why you get up and get out the bed and go out there and deal with all of the nonsense and fight against the powers that be against us. I want to make sure that we remember that why. You know what I'm saying? That's not an attack on you, Mel. I get how I understood everything that you said. I just wanted to make sure that I could frame it just a little differently as we get ready to end this, because we do not work for this. We work to make sure that this can continue to provide us an opportunity to come out here and receive pay rendered for our services so we can fund the things that we really want to do and be in life. And I just wanted to give that quick reminder. And I just wanted to make sure that y'all got y'all flowers on the Working Class podcast, because y'all are heroes. I love y'all. If I ever see y'all anywhere, man, we got to flick it up for the gram. I love y'all.
I'm taking a flight to ATL next month through Delta, so I might see you.
I was gonna say, I definitely gonna fly Delta from now on.
Yeah.
Just don't make it a mic, man. Flex McGee on Facebook. You can always reach me. I don't know if you,
We'll do.
or you know what I'm saying, but you can actually contact me. And if I promise you, if I'm at work or I'm there sometime, or you come through there, hey man, we gonna do it for labor. America needs us.
Yes, us.
I got you.
Us. That's right. Same thing. Write the names down. Facebook, find us, come see us.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
I
Come
wanted
find
to say
us.
something before we go into the wrap up here. You guys don't realize sometimes a cup of coffee with some of our Delta workers, and I know this for a fact because I've worked with a lot of these people that say, Miss Amanda, I'm so hungry, but I'm so glad I had a cup of coffee today. Starbucks, 1 cup of coffee. Sometimes even right now, today, people are hungry, and that 1 cup of coffee is sometimes the only thing that they can consider as a meal. So even Starbucks coffee and serving people and helping people is just like us coming to work for food. But my point I'm making is that this particular day when the worker said it to me, all I had was a cup of Starbucks, and Miss Amanda, that kept me over. So Starbucks, thank you for to them that meal. Thank you for feeding them that meal, if that makes sense. Thank you for that meal, because sometimes that is a meal to someone. So as we come into a wrap up, one of the biggest problems that unionizing, I think organizing have, is the privacy of the workers. The workers don't truly understand, like when we say, Delta will not know you signed a card. Delta will not know if you mailed a card. Delta, if they come to you and say they did, they are lying, because they do not have the privilege to have that type of information. How did you protect the workers' privacy while unionizing Starbucks?
Yeah, I can take that one.
Okay.
Yeah, like, like, we're fighting here to build a union to win our election here. it serves us as union organizers, as workers, and even like our like union representatives that we work with. It serves nobody's purposes to make people scared of sharing their information with the company that we're trying to fight against, to build this union. Like, scaring people does nothing to help us. Sharing that information, like, people are scared. Like, these companies are doing things that are often illegal, to try and dissuade you from building a union to fight for your rights. And so, like, us giving like Starbucks like the names of the people who signed cards, like that doesn't serve our purposes at all. It wouldn't serve Delta workers, like, at all, to give Delta the names of those cards. Like, obviously our goal is to where like there will be such like massive union support that like, like whichever company we're fighting against, like it, they can't surmount it. But like the cards themselves are like entirely protected, and that's the thing that matters to a lot of people, and that's what a lot of people are scared of. And so like unless you make your support public, which obviously is encouraged because that's the goal, you want to have solidarity with each other, but like unless you make your support like known with everyone, like nobody's going it serves nobody's purposes to like give that to the company, because that only serves to harm everyone basically except for the company. So that's kind of how I like to think about it, and that's kind of what like um, tamed some people's fears, at least in our store, when we organized. We did say like at some point like um, that it's in your best interest to be out and supportive of the union, like if you are a supporter, especially because if there's documented evidence that you are a supporter, legally, like and like the company tries to do something to you, like your union or like through the law or whatever, what have you, like they can go back and be like, listen, there's documented evidence that the company knew that you were a union supporter and then they did this to you. That is illegal. They can't do that. So it's important to be out and proud about it, but like the cards are protected, certainly. And I wouldn't be worried about that if I were a Starbucks worker or if I were a Delta worker. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Did Mel or Shay, did you have anything you want to say on that?
Nah, he got it.
You got it? Okay,
I got a
okay.
quick question. I got a quick question for Mandolin, if I can.
Yep, go
To
ahead.
my Amazon workers, what would you say to any worker that's feeling like they're out here alone by themselves in this situation? What would you say to them that might inspire them to get more involved?
Amazon or Starbucks? Are you talking to?
Any Amazon, Starbucks, any worker, Delta, like JetBlue, anybody that's out there that feels like they're alone in their workplace. Like, I just want to know, as people who've won, I want to know what you would say to them.
Yeah,
What advice?
yeah, that's a good question.
Don't everybody get silent on me. Come on, man. Nelson,
Oh, my
I'm
fault.
calling on you for. I'm gonna just go in order.
The time is now. I would just say you're not like you. It definitely everyone feels alone. I've obviously, like I said before, I felt alone a lot of the time. But at the same time, you're not. It's just a reality, and you have to like, there's a lot of resources, and this podcast is a great outlet for others to like reach out and like in like these parasocial really like connections of like feeling like, oh, I know this person because you've heard the same things and you work the same conditions. So yeah, I would say like, you have to like go out and find these like areas and these people, but you're definitely not alone. And like unions don't work by someone being alone, right? Like unions are so beneficial when everyone else is like, again, through solidarity, is working together and like, supporting each other and like fighting for each other and that kind of thing.
That's awesome. Thank you, Nelson, for that. So if anyone had anything else to say, I'm going to do a wrap up and pass it over to Stedman. And I want to thank you guys for being on. But did you have any final words that you want to say to even the Starbucks workers that are out there, the Delta workers, our Delta people, Flex, anybody got anything else that they want to add to this podcast today that hasn't been, because it's been amazing. All right.
Yes.
So yeah, it's been amazing. So
Mel,
thank
give
you
us
guys
something. Mel
again
been
for
quiet.
thank
Mel
you
been
guys
quiet,
for
man. Let Mel
taking
give
the
us something.
time. Stedman, give him a hand clap. Okay, we'll do it. So I just want to wrap up with our Delta workers, and it's just a scenario I want you to look at is that how much does Delta have to keep cutting you? Think about your flesh, your body. If your body get cut, how long are you going to let this infection in your arm stay until you decide that you need to get help and get stitches to stitch it up? And the way you stitch that up is you go by and sign that union card, get help work on a union, and let's get these stitches in your arm so that you can heal and we can move forward. And we do that, we do it together. There is no way we can do this without you. And I'm going to say that again. How many times does Delta have to keep cutting into you as a scenario for you to understand that this cut and this wound is going to keep getting deeper and deeper until you go and get stitches? And that stitches is a union. So thank you everybody for being on the podcast this evening, and we're hopefully to see you again. Stedman, take us out of here.
Okay, last thing. This is what I was trying to pull up. I thought I had my mic unmuted, but I didn't. So this is the no contract, no coffee pledge. And if anyone wanted to kind of give info about it, what that means, one of the Starbucks workers. So, we can kind of share this information with the audience. I've got the link in the description.
Yeah. This is the no contract, no coffee pledge. It's for basically anyone. You don't have to be a Starbucks worker. It's just like signing, like if signing that you support Starbucks workers. So Delta workers, feel free to fill that out. Starbucks workers as well. If anyone's a Starbucks worker who's interested in organizing, you can probably fill out like our forum on our like actual website, which is, I think it's starbucksworkersunited.org. I could be wrong on that, but it's a pretty easy Google there. Yeah, it's basically just showing support there. That's kind of like what we tend to plug whenever we're in these kind of situations.
Okay. And as I said, I have the link in the description.
Thank you,
so
brother.
if anyone's interested
Thank
in
you.
signing, you can find it there. But I'll take us out. Like I always say, or else do. I gotta find the. So here we go. Thanks for joining us again. This was a special show. So thanks for tuning in with us. If you have questions that were not answered, or maybe a specific topic you'd like to have addressed, let me just mute a couple mics. Specific topic you'd like to have addressed, leave us a comment and we will get back to you. Also, all available links to information and materials posted in the description are in the description. So the link to the support Starbucks workers is in the description, along with all the other relevant links. Request a card, the Facebook group, the Instagram, all that stuff. Remember, this podcast is powered by working people just like you. In solidarity, peace.
Peace. Thank you. Solidarity.